One cool and niche thing about video game consoles are the menus. They're an art form, one that's underappreciated, something that's supposed to be so simple to take you from powering on the console to your game. But it's so much more than that. When we look at console home menus today, it's all dots and boxes, plain text, open voids, and advertisements, but menus used to be so much more than that. They used to have personality. It used to mean something. So, let's look at the most prominent ones in history and see what makes them good, what makes them bad, and see how we got to the bleak present we currently live in. So, like I said, we're going to take a look at the most prominent video game console home menus, and I'll be rating them based on 3 criteria which I think are important to making a user interface for a video game console. First, there's atmosphere. The sounds, the sights, the overall, atmosphere. Is it pleasant to look at, or do I want to rip my eyeballs out when looking at it? Is there sounds and music that accompany the menu, or am I left listening to the sound of the console's fan going off? Secondly, there's functionality, the most important attribute. What is it like to actually use the menu? Is it easy to use? Is it clunky and slow? Is it confusing? And lastly, and probably the least important, synergy. How well does the menu correlate with the identity of its console and the console generation? Does the menu feel exactly like something that should appear on that console? Or is the menu something that could have appeared anywhere? Each one of these I'll rate from 1 to 10, and based on those 3 grades, I'll be assigning a letter grade to that menu. Since the main purpose of a console menu is to bring you, the player, to and from the game, functionality will be weighted more than atmosphere and synergy. Functionality is 50% of the score, and atmosphere and synergy are 25% each. Pretty simple to understand. Now, when grading these, I tried to be as objective as possible, but there's always going to be some level of bias, so not only will I be giving you my own grade, I've also aggregated a second opinion grade from my friends, so you can yell at them if their score sucks. Keep in mind, the criteria only applies to the home menu itself. If you leave the home menu, then it won't be counting for the grade. Without further ado, let's start off with the company who I think does menus the best. The GameCube was the first Nintendo console to ship with a fully fledged menu in it, in every region. But it wasn't a required menu. You could just pop in a game, turn on the console, and get straight into the game, like older consoles. But if you hold down A on your controller when the logo is starting up, the logo gets all wacky and it opens up the GameCube user interface. A shiny cube floats in the middle with some subtle ambient music in the background. You can move the cube up, right, left, and down to make a selection. You can go right to your game, you could fiddle with the options, view a calendar, or view your memory card contents. It's a fine enough menu. It's bare bones, but it serves its purpose. It's not flashy, but it's not boring. It's relaxing. I gave it points because it's a cube. I mean, how else could you fit with the identity of the console that's named after a cube? And everything looks cubish. Everything's made out of blocks, there's grids. It works. It's the first Nintendo home menu, and it shows. But it was a decent first attempt nonetheless. The DS was Nintendo's first handheld system to get a menu. It's certainly a menu. Similar to the GameCube, it's basically optional. I mean, yeah, it's required by default, but you can go and change that in settings and make the DS automatically boot into the game whenever you power the system on. There's a clock and a calendar. What more could you possibly need? An alarm clock, you got that too. Jeez, Nintendo, you're really spoiling us. Nintendo and their alarm clocks, man. I'd like to imagine there was a businessman in 2004 who got up for work every day, using his Nintendo DS alarm. On the old fat DS model, you can press the brightness button to shut off the backlight, just in case you didn't want to see anything on screen. It's functional. That's all I can give it. All I'll say is, there's a reason you have the option to skip it. I'd call this Nintendo's first true menu, because although the GameCube and DS had menus, They certainly weren't as fleshed out as the Wii's, and this one is always required. So no more skipping straight to your game. What is there to say that hasn't already been said about the Wii menu? It's snappy, it's pretty, the music and sounds are relaxing. The fact that every icon is like a TV tuned to a different channel, and when you press A on it, it zooms in playing an animation and jingle. It's just so nice to look at. Some channels display information from the home menu like the forecast or the Nintendo channel. These aesthetic choices weren't made by accident. They specifically made it look this way so it'd be easy to understand for casual people. The Wii Mail is literally behind the Wii menu because it's always working in the background. Look at how it works. The Wii menu is the standard for all great menus. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 in functionality is because some people may have trouble aiming the cursor. And another thing, if you fill up every channel spot, it's impossible to move any channel, which is really stupid, and a problem that probably nobody has ever had. But other than that, it's perfect. The DSi menu feels the same as the Wii. Nintendo had these two consoles holding hands all the time with the marketing and the branding, and the menu is no different. Finally, a DS with a full home menu. This was a huge selling point to me as a kid. Similar relaxing music to the Wii, animated icons just like the Wii too. But since it's a handheld, those animations aren't crazy. It's usually just a character blinking or some shit. You have some level of customization too, because you can take pictures from the DSi camera app, and when you favorite pictures from your gallery, it'll pick one random one that you favorited and put it on the top screen. That's cool, I like that. That way everyone's DS is personalized in some way. It's clean and it's simple and it's easy to use. On the bottom row, you can instantly tell where your game cart and settings is. Apps that require download play or online communications make it easy to tell too. They put a little icon next to the text bubble. Like I said, it's more of the same from the Wii, but simpler, which makes sense because it's a handheld. No clue why the Second Opinion crew rated this worse than the original DS. I don't know what they're smoking, but I guess it goes to show you should value my opinion over theirs. If the DSi menu and the Wii menu fucked, this would be the baby that the DSi would give birth to. Yes, I'm insinuating that the DSi would get pregnant. The 3DS menu improves every aspect of the DSi home menu. They did remove icon animations, which sucks, but they replaced them with 3D models that were animated and had music on the top screen. So, I'd take that. They remind me of the Wii. When you click on the channel, it plays the little banner and the animation jingle. So, I'd take these over icon animations any day of the week. You have much more customization over the menu layout. You can change the amount of rows. I remember this being like really fucking cool to me as a kid. The boxes and advertisements for 3DSs always had 2 rows of games, and that blew my mind as a kid. I was like, what? You could have 2? You could also add folders now, if you want to do that. You can personalize the menu by adding badges and changing the theme. The only major negatives I'd give it is, it can get a bit slow at times, more so on the older models, and starting up and closing a game can drag sometimes. As well as having the game show up on the bottom screen can take a bit of time too, but maybe that's because I hacked my 3DS and I added 4,000 games that I never play. And especially on the older versions, the menu can feel a bit cramped. Maybe it's because of the customization they give you, or maybe it's the top row. Like, did we really need to know where Game Notes was? Do you even know anyone who's used Game Notes? I feel like everything on the top row could be somewhere else, whether it be an app on the bottom screen or in settings. And there's also a corpse at the top too. You shut down Miiverse, why didn't you remove it? It wasn't always there. Anyways. Let's take a break from Nintendo and pay our friends at Sony a visit. Now, since neither me or the Second Opinion crew have used the PS1 menu, we decided not to rank it because we didn't have it in our hands. And also, it's a pretty bare bones menu. I've looked it up, I've done my research, so I'm not going to rate it. Same thing with the PS2 menu. I feel like there's just not enough to rank. I feel like it's just instantly going to get a failing score for me just because there's really nothing there. It's really just a memory card viewer and playing the game. But I will rank the PSP because to me the PSP is the actual first menu. Now I know the PS2 has an amazing intro and everything, but let's be real. It wasn't a real menu. When you take a look at the PSP menu, you can really feel the Sony menu. Even to this day, even on the PS5, it still kind of has that same design philosophy. I think it's a good menu overall. It does kind of suck that there's no music, but it really just feels like a simple, easy to use menu. The backgrounds are nice, and there is themes, so there is some level of customization, which is nice. The sequel to the PSP, the PS Vita, will only be rated by me because nobody bought a PS Vita, except for me, so I'm gonna rate it, but the second opinion crew won't. I really dig the PS Vita menu. I think it's nice. It's got a nice vibe to it. It's got really groovy music, which is a nice change of pace because most songs for system menus are pretty ambient and kind of calming. This one's really funky and groovy. Like, just take a listen to it. You can customize the background of the menu. I'm not a big fan of how the icons are circles. Maybe it's because they kind of feel cramped and I feel like you're losing out on some of the pictures that you could have gotten, but it's fine enough as is. One thing that is weird though is that when you have a game suspended or an app suspended, it's like a sticker on the screen that you peel off. And I remember when I first got my PS Vita, I would always I would peel it forward and then push it back at the last second. It was kind of fun. I liked seeing the paper physics. Now the PS3 menu is more of the same of the PSP for me. I think it's a little bit easier to use. One, it's on console, and for two, there's more options, especially with the themes. I think the PS3 had some of the best themes ever, like the Family Guy theme. Oh my god, I love it so much. Giggity, 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 ha! The PS3, PS4, and PS5 menus are also similar. I think Sony has kind of always had the ideology of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, whereas Nintendo is more experimental. So the PS4 menu, I think I personally found it more difficult to navigate between the PS5 menu and the PS3 menu, but that's just me. Maybe I'm an idiot. I did skip out on the PS4 and played it retroactively, so maybe that's why. I'm used to the PS3 and the PS5, not the PS4. But personally, I think it's the hardest to navigate of the three. The PS5, it's probably the blandest. It still has music, which is a major positive because Xbox and the Switch currently don't have music, so good job, Sony. And you do have a little bit of customization with the home menu, how you can change the widgets and things, the background image. You could also change the system sounds to be one of the past 4 systems, which is cool. It's a clean menu, it's snappy, it's to the point, kind of like all menus today, but it's lacking in its own character. It's very flat. I like the PS5 menu though, don't get me wrong. I think it's probably my favorite menu of the current systems. I like it more than the Switch menu, especially when you consider the fact that every game and app has their own kind of page where the background changes and it has the title and it plays its own music. Not every game has this, but that's on a game-to-game basis. If a developer doesn't put that, then that's on them. So I think Sony has a pretty good track record when it comes to menus. They're very straight and to the point, not very flashy, but it's fine. They're good menus. Now we've gone over a little bit of Nintendo and we've done Sony, but I think one of the best menus of all time comes from I don't even care, dude. This is one of the coolest freaking menus I've ever seen. It literally feels like you're using a spaceship as your console. No other menu fits the identity of a console quite like this one. Like, the sound effects are so awesome. I'm gonna say this all the time. It literally feels like you're manning a spaceship from the future. It's so awesome. It's such a product of its time in the best way possible. Like, this could never ever come out today. But at the same time, it's still simple to use. Like, there's nothing that is confusing about using it. Everything's written out to you pretty easily. All the 3D models and the movement of the screen, it's so good. You look at this menu and you know you're about to play Halo and guzzle some Mountain Dew and drop some Doritos in your gullet. It just feels like it. The Xbox OG has a special place in my heart, and I'm gonna be biased for this menu, but I don't care. Look at this menu. It's freaking awesome. And before we move back on to the rest of the Nintendo consoles, I just want to drop an honorable mention to the Xbox 360's Blades menu. Now, I was never around to experience this for myself. I got the lamer Xbox 360 menu, sadly. But a lot of people consider this menu to be one of the greatest console menus of all time, so I had to mention it. And it does look cool. I've never used it, and I never hacked my Xbox 360 to be able to use it, so I'm just going to drop an honorable mention. I'm not going to rate it. So, back to Nintendo. It's about to get heated in here, because every time someone says the Wii U is better than Switch, 95% of their argument is this menu. Have those people ever considered the fact that it's a fucking pain to use? Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful menu. Gorgeous, crisp HD, tons of Mii's on the screen, but it sucks in practice. It's slow, and the load times stink, and the over-reliance of the gamepad docks points in functionality for me. You're telling me I need the gamepad to even think about using system settings? Fuck you! And to throw more salt in the gaping wound, they took away the animations from the Wii menu. No more banner jingles, just static JPEG and a music loop if we're lucky. Wara Wara Plaza, am I saying that right? Wara Wara Plaza, we're gonna call it. Was nice back in the day when Miiverse actually worked, but it doesn't officially work anymore, so I don't care. It's just a bunch of generic Mii's now. Maybe I'd be gentler if it was as nice as the Wii menu, but it isn't as nice, and it's clunky as shit. Oh god, I'm so sorry, Wii U. Jesus, the Switch's silence is so deafening. No more music, no more fun animations, just clicks. No customization, it's just your most recently played games and a row of applications on the bottom. I mean, it's fast, it's straight to the point, gets you right to the game, but it's like a modern version of the DS menu, there's just nothing here. I get Nintendo is trying to be cooler and more sleek because of the disaster that was the Wii U, but I promise you, Nintendo, home menu music was not one of the reasons the Wii U sold like shit on a stick. And I didn't specifically dock points for this, but it pisses me off that I need to mention it. They have a section in settings called themes, and for the entirety of the Switch's life, and I doubt they're gonna update it before the Switch 2 comes out, it was only ever 2 themes. Why not just make it a dark mode toggle? Why call it themes if you're never planning on doing more? Not even any other basic colors, just white and black? God, I hate the Switch menu! Actually, wait, before you go, we have one more menu left, so stick around. As of the making of this video, the Switch 2 is still like a month out from releasing, but we already know what the menu looks like, so it's still free game to me. We're gonna have to assume a couple of things since I don't tangibly have the menu in my hands, so we'll put a big fat asterisk right next to the score. Additionally, the Second Opinion crew will not be rating the Switch 2 menu for similar reasons, so let's assume that there's no home menu music, because there probably won't be. First of all, this bottom row is a complete mess. Why is there still a big zit on it? It's ugly and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And why are there 5 colored icons and 4 gray? It just looks lopsided, there's no cohesion. It would look so much nicer if it was like the Wii U system settings where everything was colored and blended together. That would look so much nicer than whatever the fuck this is. I like the curves on the squares a bit more. That's it. That's all the upgrades. So for atmosphere, I can give it a 1.2. I like it 0.2 points more than the Switch. And I have no reason to doubt it won't be as snappy and fast as a Switch, and will also just carry over the Synergy score. Switch 2, 1.2, 10, 5. That's still a failing grade. Disgraceful, Nintendo. The Switch 2 home menu was something I was so excited for, because after 7 years of the boring Switch menu, I thought Nintendo would cook something up. But no, we get essentially the exact same menu once again. Here's to 7 more years of more dots and fucking boxes.